I've been waiting for a little more clarity on the whole new scholarship limit, roster limit, before I did a video so I could maybe say a few relatively intelligent things. But it doesn't look like clarity is coming anytime soon. I think one or two questions got answered with what I was reading, and some others have come up. Seems like they've put these rules in place before everybody has discussed what the various issues are. And so a number of these issues really haven't been specified. Yeah, roll out that program while it's still full of bugs. Man, we already need a beta version. All right, I'll get to all of that, or some of that, or whatever, here in just a minute. This is WVU football going deep. Maybe going out of bounds. I don't know. I am Forrest Poston. I don't have a scholarship. Wasn't any school in the country going to give me, well, actually, that's not true. Athletic scholarship, I should say. I actually did have offers out the well-known Wazoo. I was one of those smart guys. Yeah. Smart enough to get in trouble. Anyway, please, pretty please, sugar on top, sugar on the side. Hey, you can have your sugar wherever you want it. But I would appreciate it if you share, subscribe, make comments, click the thumbs up, click the notification bell, and tell your friends. What you tell your friends is up to you. Now, scholarship limits. Oh my. Okay. At the moment, this year, as we've had for a while, the scholarship limit is 85. Total roster limit by the start of the semester or fall camp or something like that, 120. About a week or so ago, our dear athletic director was on Three Guys Before the Game, I think it was, and mentioned a few of the possibilities that might eventually shake out for the whole limit situation. The way he was talking, I really didn't think this was coming anytime soon, especially since he was still talking about so many possibilities, and this did not seem to be the most likely or the best. And I think a lot of people are, you're going to have to guess as to why they've gone this route. A lot of people are making guesses. I have no idea which ones are good or not. General thinking is that overall this will favor the blue bloods or the, schools with the most money. It might. I suspect that's the intent. I don't know if it'll be the reality. It's going to be confusing for everybody for a while. Ren Baker is a smart guy, but I do not think he has this figured out. I'm sure he and Neil Brown have been talking a lot and will keep talking a lot. And I'm not going to try to guess how each school will handle this because there's a lot of options. You do not have to use 105 scholarships. And a lot of schools won't be able to do that because each scholarship costs the school and the athletic department money. They are already having to pay players. They are having to pay reparations to former players. Money. Well, money is only a theoretical thing, actually, but we kind of place limits on it. You don't get to just say, hey, I have this much, here, you want it. So schools are going to have to figure out how much they can spend and how best to spend it. Now, another rule change that hasn't gotten talked about a lot. Currently, if you give a football player a scholarship, you have to give them a full scholarship. That will change. You can give partial scholarships, which you've been able to do in some other sports already. How schools will handle that. You'll now, with NIL, you can, give a partial scholarship and pay through other sources. There will be many more ways to distribute money to the players. It's going to become a recruiting tool, but how you distribute the available money is just going to be a mess. It's also going to be a mess because, frankly, the players are going to be getting, some of them are going to be getting a heck of a lot more money than they know what to do with right now. And it will cause behavioral problems. You cannot suddenly throw a ton of money at almost anybody and not expect some strange reactions. The stories of people winning lotteries and ruining their lives are not uncommon. They're not all true, but not uncommon. I'd like to find out personally, but I'd be willing to risk how 500 million or so lottery winnings would affect me. But you throw that at an 18-year-old, 19-year-old, they're going to do some stupid crap. They do stupid crap anyway. You just try to keep it within limits, and now you are just increasing their options for being stupid. So, it's going to be crazy. Anyway, scholarships. One of the big questions is, how does this affect walk-on programs? Now, obviously, if a school decides to use 105 scholarships, that means no walk-ons. If you use 95 scholarships, you could still have 10 walk-ons. Now another question that came up, these limits go into place, the beginning of the 2025 athletic season. Are they hard limits immediately, or are current walk-ons grandfathered in? Is this going to get phased in so that you can essentially be over the 105 limit and not just have to tell a lot of your walk-ons, bye. You walked on, now walk off. Or your choice. Even if you give, 10 scholarships to, even if you gave all of the available scholarships, which basically, that's 20 scholarships to walk-ons, teams like West Virginia would still have more walk-ons that they can't keep because over the limit. West Virginia, by my count, currently has about 39 walk-ons on the roster, counting this year's freshmen. And it actually was a very good walk-on class this year. And let's see, 16 of those 39 are from West Virginia. Doesn't really make a difference in football terms, but Coach Brown and a lot of us want the team to have a very definite West Virginia element. They can get some of the top players from the state each year, but that doesn't really make it a West Virginia team fully. Traditionally, the walk-ons have added the whole West Virginia aspect. And that was going to be very strong this year. Now what happens? I have essentially no doubt that they will give scholarships to several walk-ons, as opposed to just going out and trying to recruit more players or bring in more transfers. I don't think West Virginia will be one of the schools that uses all 105 of the scholarships. Although I suppose I could see them doing that temporarily just to keep as many of the walk-ons as they could and allowing, graduation to handle that over time. This year, if I'm looking at things correctly, we only have one graduating walk-on, Bechtel. We've got a small number of guys graduating in 2 years. Now, just looking at things, I would say guys that you have to give a scholarship to. These are guys that they've kind of been on the verge of getting a scholarship, and this year they couldn't because we're at the limit. But actually over the limit still. But for next year, I would say scholarships go to Biggs, Cole, Evans, McBee, I don't think he's on scholarship, and Wilcox. So that's 5 guys, which leaves 5 to 15 more scholarships, and 34, 33 players technically to divide them among. Traditionally, the offensive line has been one of the places that we have made the most use of the walk-ons. Just takes time for them to develop. Biggs would be an example. But right now, offensive line, we've got Ellis from West Virginia, Fogel from West Virginia, Hancock from West Virginia, Hunter from West Virginia, and I think Hunter was one that was particularly well thought of. We could easily just use up most of them with the offensive line. But what about wide receiver? We've got a couple of potentially good in the long term, very fast receivers from West Virginia. We also have Murphy Clement, who's listed as a running back, and he's supposedly might be even faster than his brother. Do you give him a scholarship when the running back room is so crowded? And then what happens to Clay Ash? We got a bunch of great linebackers. Tyler Kane came in, 2 years ago, 1 year ago, I think 1 year ago. Kovaleski from West Virginia. There's another linebacker in here as well, someplace, I can't spot him, from West Virginia. Kovaleski, I really liked, looking at his tape. I mean, he's a guy who, oh man, I like how he tackles. But personally, I don't think you keep a walk-on quarterback. We've got 3 at the moment. Chris Keene and Abe Fenwick just coming in. But with 4 scholarship quarterbacks, I mean, these guys weren't going to, get playing time anyway. And walk-ons traditionally are special team players and guys for the practice squad. So you have guys to go against the scout team without, wearing out or endangering your starters. That's going to be a problem. But man, I look at this list now. Of course, obviously, hey, some of these guys, I don't know anything about them. But we have several punters, a couple of kickers. You got to have more than one guy on the team who can kick, more than one who can punt, and you usually don't use a scholarship for that. That has traditionally been where somebody walks on and maybe earns a scholarship. Now do you have to use a scholarship to keep a backup punter? 105 limit for the total team is just stupid. It is just freaking stupid. I don't know who came up with it or why. But I do not think, Now, I mean, a lot of these players will simply move down, if they can't stay, they will move down to a lower division and maybe get more playing time. In some respects, it might be good for some of these guys. They want to play, excuse me. I take it you were telling me food's ready?
Yeah.
I'll be down after I finish the video I'm in.
Okay.
Bye. Meanwhile, where was I at? Supper's ready. Video's about to get short. Less long. Some of these guys want to play for Division I, or they would rather sit on the bench in a Division I school, in West Virginia especially, for some of them, compared to playing at a smaller school. Maybe some of them need to be forced, out of that. I don't know. That's a individual thing. Some walk-ons may end up better off because of this, either because they now get a scholarship or a partial scholarship. And one way to keep, you still have the 105 total limit, so you can't keep as many walk-ons regardless. But some of the guys, hey, they get a scholarship, that's good for them. Others get forced to a lower division and get to play. How that affects the education side of things, don't know. That's going to vary, obviously. It's just a very complicated situation, and this is all being brought on by the House lawsuit, but it is being handled badly. Well, I don't know if it's being handled too quickly. I think they probably could have, because they've had time to see this coming. I think they could have handled it quickly, but better. And I really think they should have raised and settled some of the questions before they, made the rules. We've got enough dang confusion in sports right now. We didn't need more, but we got it anyway. Just hope this does not cause distractions or, dissension for the team in what really should be a very big season. They definitely, doing this 30 days before the beginning of the season, I suppose it's better than doing it mid-season, or better than not giving people enough time, but they do need to ease this in. If they make this a hard, 105 from the beginning of school in 25, that's not fair. And I don't think it's smart. But a lot of people will tell you fair and smart aren't guaranteed anywhere. So, as I said at the beginning, clarity isn't coming anytime soon. Although I also did read an essay years ago discussing the dangers of clarity, because when you think you know the answer, you stop looking. Well, I'm not going to stop looking, and I'm not going to stop thinking. For now, I'm going to stop talking, and I'm going to go eat supper. I will start talking again some other time, and I'll see you then. So long.